got really good news. Really good news. Okay, so it looked like I wasn't going to be able to get an appointment with a neurologist for about 2 weeks. And I'm going to keep that appointment with a neurologist. However, we found a seizure specialist. So, and I just was on a live stream and they just called and I have an appointment at 10:30 a.m. on Monday morning to see a fucking seizure specialist, and we're gonna get everything fucking like, you know, like I'm going in for a fucking specialist. So that's really amazing news. That's amazing news on so many different fucking levels. It is ridiculous because I haven't had a seizure in 10 years, but I had one once a year and I would have it when I would forget to take my medication. So, and I found some stuff about how, like, you know, there's certain things that, yes, Heather, it's great news. There's certain things that, like, you can have seizures for, they can, like, not be able to tell you why you're having seizures. And, like, neurologists, like, they cover, like, you know, all sorts of shit. But seizure specialists, like, they're specifically for seizures. So, this is really good news! I'm fucking excited! I have an appointment on Monday morning at 10:30, and I'm gonna get shit done. I am so excited. I am, like, really fucking excited. And Allie, I got your message. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you yet. But, I am, like, thrilled. Like, I'm beyond fucking thrilled because this has been in the back of my fucking mind for a fucking decade. And, I've been worried about it and I've had anxiety about it. I've had health anxiety about it. And I can fully commit to 1,000,000% healing on several different fucking levels, and I can probably get some answers to some long unanswered questions that have been open loops in my head about my health for a long fucking time. It took me having to go to the fucking hospital, but if this is what it takes, fucking praise God! I'm excited! So, and I have this, I just firmly believe that things are gonna, like, this is like maybe the best thing that ever happened to me. So, anyways, I'm really fucking excited because, like, and another thing that, like, one of the things that I forgot that I'm really good at with manifesting is that when crises happen, I am notorious, like fucking notorious at being able to take a crisis situation and turn it into, like, fucking amazing shit. Like, I literally have made it an art form, and I haven't had too many crises happen to me in quite a while, so maybe I need to do some work on the fact that it may have been my dormant pain body emotional bullshit that needed to, like, come up and create some crisis and la-di-da anyways. But, I'm so excited! I really feel like I'm gonna get some answers to some questions, and I'm actually, like, thoroughly, I'm gonna, like, write down all the questions that I have and all the stuff that I've been wondering about and yada yada yada. So anyways, okay, so moving the fuck on, I'll keep you guys updated on what happens at the appointment, but I'm really fucking excited, and I need to keep tabs on the fact that we have a call in 25 minutes. So I'm thrilled, like, beyond fucking thrilled, and what do you guys want me to talk about now? Yeah, what do you want me to talk about? My live event is in January 8th through the 10th, and I'm literally in the process of hiring a what's it called? I'm going to a staffing agency to hire somebody to take care of a bunch of shit. One of the cool things about this situation is that now I'm like professionally delegating a fuckload of shit so that I can make damn sure that I'm like super fucking like low stress. And I'm gonna go to a hotel this weekend and fucking relax and pamper the shit out of myself. So that's really cool news on top of everything else. And another thing that's really cool is that my dad and I have been talking quite a bit too, and my dad's a sweetheart, like super sweetheart. And yeah, okay, so mindset, right? What do you want? What questions do you have? Just like Q&A. Lay it on me. Like, give it to me, you know? Give me some mindset questions. Laura, I got in to see a specialist on Monday morning. A specialist. So, like, I'm excited. I'm fucking excited. And, like, that's, like, maybe I should talk a little bit about this. The whole, what motivation versus desperation. Okay. It's an interesting topic. Okay. Motivation versus desperation. Hey, Julie. Well, hey, Danielle. How are you, sweetie? Why does it seem it's when doing, oh, brilliant question. Thank you. I really think that this might have been, like, I know it's fucked up that it, you know, this had to happen, but I really deeply feel like at the core of my being, and I'm a powerful fucking manifester, that maybe it happened in order for me to get fully into alignment on a very deep level, like to do a very big quantum like shift. Like I feel it in my bones that this is like going to produce some like really massive, amazing things for me. I really, truly, deeply believe that, like on a very deep level. And it's like, I'm really sitting in that and really feeling that. And to be quite honest with you, like there's never really been a time when I have felt this solid about, like, yeah, it was traumatic and yeah, it was scary, but like when I have felt this solid about something 9 times out of 10, like 99.9% of the time, I'm not only correct, but I'm even like it's only a smidge of what actually manifests for me. And I really need to do some journaling because like that's really true. It's really been hitting me hard that, anyways. So, okay, enough about me. Motivation versus desperation. How do you know when you're in desperation and how do you know when you're in motivation? What is your reason for making something happen? Like, okay, this could be a really good example. Me right now, right? So I could be in desperation to make sure that I come out okay, right? Because I've got something going on with my health, right? Or motivation in the sense of, you know, because that is a very, very, very fine line between desperation and motivation. So what I would do is I would check what is the core of how I'm feeling and thinking about the situation. Am I motivated to be determined that not only am I going to come out of this better than I ever have in my life? Or am I motivated because I'm secretly scared that I'm not going to be okay? And so what I do is I go to, okay, well, give myself space to address, like, am I afraid that I'm not going to be okay? And sit with it, not necessarily like dwell in it, but like let myself sit with it. Like, am I actually afraid that I'm not going to be okay? Like, am I afraid that tests are going to come back and I'm going to, have a tumor or something fucked up is going to happen? Am I afraid that I'm going to be stuck with a neurological disease for the rest of my life? Am I really like thinking that? Like, is that really what's going on? And the thing about it is you kind of like have to like, I know this is a, insane example, but it's actually a pretty good one, to be honest. It's to sit in the reality. Do I really believe, like, let's really get to the fucking, like, heat of the matter and go, 4 months from now, what do I really think is going to be my reality? What do I really realistically think is going to be my reality? Do I really think that 4 years from now I'm going to be, disabled or still on medication or whatever the fuck it might be? Do I really think that, what do I think is going to really happen? And when you do that, you can notice that you can see the difference between motivation and desperation. So it's kind of like and you can feel it in your body if you're afraid, because desperation is fear. It's deep fear. And it's usually you don't want to face it and you're afraid to face it, and you just like you're like adamantly like, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. And that's one of the reasons why, like, there's probably people who are supporters of mine who are like, you shouldn't talk about this. You shouldn't talk about this. You shouldn't give it attention. You shouldn't give it energy. You shouldn't make it your identity, etc., etc., etc. I'm aware of those things. At the same time, I'm aware that the more that I talk about it and the more that I make peace with whatever fears are actually coming up for me, the faster that I'm going to heal, the faster that, like, I'm going to get clarity on the healing and the amazing things that can come from this. And I will fully step into my, I don't know if resilience is the word, but my need to command authority in that I am healed. So it's kind of like you put yourself in a position of recognizing that desperation is that fear, and it's you're kind of like, there's anger usually, there's like, don't talk about it, you don't, frustration, there's like annoyance, there's negative energy around it. And there's layers of you being a victim and staying in victim mode, but there's also like, different phases of like processing your stuff. So like if you're, if you're being motivated because you're in a shitty situation and you're recognizing like, I fucking got myself into this shitty situation. I got myself into this fucked up situation, and I wanted to actually like process the fact that I put myself in this situation. I chose these circumstances, and I need to thoroughly accept that in order to move through it. And so that can be a place of motivation and not desperation. It's usually, to me, desperation is normally like, in order to get result X or Y or Z, it's proving something, and you need it in order to feel okay or valid or worthy. Hey Kelly, how are you? So like, for example, and I'll use a really scary situation, just like, so it's like, I'll just use it. So if I need my test results to come back without anything wrong in order to feel okay and secure and safe and worthy, then I'm in a place of desperation. Okay? So how do I make sure that I don't stay in that place and actually like attract even like a fuck up in my test results or something fucked up into where I have to do a tremendous amount of healing. What I do is I look at like, well, what if something is wrong? Well, there's nothing I can do about it. And it's scary, but like, do I deeply believe that that's my reality? No, I don't. I have this like, and I almost kind of like want to cry because like when I really sit and listen, I deeply believe that everything's going to work out in a really amazing way. I see an up-leveling of my dreams happening. So it's more so like, if you're wondering if it's motivation versus desperation, sit in the fear, sit in the worst case scenario, and really ask yourself, like, you know yourself better than anybody else on the planet. Even if you're in a really fucking scary situation, what do you really think is going to happen? Because whatever you really think is going to happen is usually what's going to happen. Not necessarily all the time, but if you're fighting, like if you're, for example, if you're like going, well, what do I think is really going to happen? Well, I don't want to think that I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. Then you're in desperation. So you're in a place of, I don't want this to happen, so I'm scared that it's going to happen. So it kind of creates more of, I don't want this to happen, so you're in that mindset. So you're kind of attracting what you don't want to happen, so it's kind of putting that pressure on that to manifest. So it's kind of like, did I answer that thoroughly for you, Laura? Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So it's kind of like, for example, like worst case scenario, like I could, have to have brain surgery, and there could be, complications. Okay, well, that's okay. That's scary, right? But at the same time, or I might have to be on medication for the rest of my life. And I might have to be very, very strict about my diet and lots of other different things and be very careful about certain things. Okay, well, number one, I've had one seizure in 10 years, right? And so notice what I'm doing. I'm looking at the reality of the situation. Like, I'm sitting in the fear. I'm giving my fear space to speak. Because if I'm like, no, it's not going to happen, then I'm just pushing it down. And it's like you can only push a beach ball underneath water for so long when you've got a tremendous amount of fear. And in order to be gentle and loving with yourself in those kinds of situations, you want to give yourself space to feel whatever it is you're feeling. And so if I have that space of like, oh my God, what if I have to have brain surgery? Oh my God. It makes me emotional to think about it. But at the same time, I already know, doctors have told me that it's like in a place in my brain that if they did have to operate, it's actually very low complications and it would be a pretty easy surgery. I already know that. And the part that it would affect my brain is my vision. So worst case scenario, it might affect my vision. And most likely they probably won't operate. So like, look at what I'm saying here. And like, I'm sorry that I'm bringing this up because it may feel narcissistic, but worst case scenario, that's my reality. That could be my reality. But there's probably a 60 to 70, maybe 80, 95% chance that won't happen. Why? Because I've had one fucking seizure in 10 goddamn years, and I wasn't on medication for 10 fucking years, and I didn't have a seizure. So if I didn't have medication, and listen to this shit, Rich took like 600 pictures of me 2 nights before. And so that can cause seizures. Another thing that happened was I was in extremely high amounts of stress that I was like creating for myself, which every single time that I've had seizures in the past, it's been an insane amount of stress. And I also had talked to, I had also gotten the implant for my birth control removed from my arm. And one of the major causes of seizures is your hormones. And, so there's like 3 or 4, even 5 major things that were contributing to me having a seizure 1 in 10 years. So it's like, notice what I'm doing. It's scary to think about, but realistic facts. And when you look at the realistic facts, it's like, okay, fuck, it could happen. And I could push it down and I could say, no, it's not going to happen. I'm going to make damn sure that it's not going to happen. Or I could sit back and trust and say, you know what? I'm going to go to the most amazing doctors. I'm going to get an insane amount of tests done. I'm going to literally write a list of every single thing that came up around this and take it to this specialist and cover all my fucking bases. And, you know, if worst case scenario happens, well, baby, I'm a fucking strong bitch and I will get through it. And that it is what it is. So it's like, notice the desperation is completely X'd out because like I'm facing the fear head on, if that makes sense. And that's a really good example because that helps like anybody across the board because you can be in really scary situations. Like, for example, if you're afraid of paying your bills, right? P.S. wanted to tell you that Crystal Jet can aid in epilepsy. Just FYI. Crystal Jet. What do you mean? Wanted to tell you that the Crystal Jet can aid in epilepsy. What does that mean? Yeah, so, what was I saying? But I don't know what you're saying. What was I? I've got to go in 8 minutes, but, the gemstone. Oh, okay, cool. And I'm going to talk to a medical intuitive too, on top of everything else. So like, and here's the thing. This is a really, really powerful thing for manifesting. Like, if you can face all this fear, right? And I can also go, okay, what's good about this? What's good about this? Number 1, I can face any unanswered questions that I have had about this issue that I've been pushing down for a decade. Any fears. So what that means is, in manifesting, so if you're in a place of desperation and fear, this is something to keep in mind. If you're afraid to face your fear, if you're afraid to sit with your fear, think about it like this. Every single time that you face pain and fear head on, you literally give yourself space to create insanely amazing breakthroughs that will astound you. You create space for, you know how they say turn your pain into your greatness or whatever it is? You give yourself space to transform on a very, very deep level. So if you're afraid of paying your bills, right? And you're like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to have money come in, or I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my bills. Okay, sit with that for a second. What if you don't? Well, usually, like, you can get extensions. Okay, so you'll get kicked out of your house, or you'll get evicted, or you'll have to borrow money, or you'll have to go get a job, or whatever it might be. And anytime those fears pop up like that, for me personally, I'm like, oh my God, what if? And I'm like, well, what's the worst that can happen? You have to go get a job? And immediately I'm like, I know that 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 I know I'm not gonna go get a job. So, I might not pay a bill. Whatever. So it's kind of like when you can accept that fear and just accept that you've had that fear, it doesn't have to be your reality, then you create this space to be motivated to create a completely different reality. I have 5 minutes. Okay, who else had a question? Why does stuff, if Kendra's still on, let me know if Kendra's still on. Why does stuff seem to hit the fan when doing mindset work? Because that's a very good question. Stuff will hit the fan when you're doing mindset work because it's the only way that it can be released. Like, for example, I keep bringing this up, but it's a really powerful example in my opinion. This seizure thing, right? I've had fears of having becoming famous, losing shitloads of weight, certain big things that I've wanted to manifest. I've been afraid to fully commit to manifesting because I've been weirdly afraid that it's going to cause me to have a seizure. And I've been afraid to go to the doctor because I just didn't want to deal with it. And I had a seizure. Okay. Now, the reason that, and I had been doing a lot of mindset work on my health anxiety, a lot of mindset work on eating, on letting go of fears of losing weight, on fame. I had literally done a mindset intensive with one of my mindset coaches about really truly committing to up-leveling my mindset in a really big way about fame. And one of my big fears has been like, oh my God, well, if I'm in Hollywood and people are taking shitloads of pictures of me and I'm in front of lights and cameras and shit, won't that trigger me to have seizures? And then I'll be this epileptic and blah, 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 right? And so, but I've been terrified to go to the doctor. But notice, I was doing all this mindset work. And so what needed to happen in order to get me to go see these specialists, get these answers, know that I'm fucking covered, know that I've got medication, that I've got, I'm safe to heal, I'm safe to prosper, I'm safe to expand, I'm safe to grow. Nothing else other than talking to those doctors and getting clear on how to prevent me from having seizures on a very deep level, getting, all my I's and T's crossed and dotted. That's what's going to heal me on the deepest level. So did it have to happen in order for me to face it? Apparently. It's fucked up, but apparently. So it's very similar for anybody who, I've got to get off in 2 seconds. It's very similar for anybody who's I'm scared that I'm going to be, I'm going to be abandoned. And so your money doesn't come in. And so you're in the process of oh my God, I'm abandoned. Oh my God, my worst fear is becoming reality. And so you have no other choice. It's the universe, yourself, God, whatever you want to call it, saying okay, you wanted to deal with this. Here you fucking go. This is the reality. You gotta fucking deal with this. And not every time do you have to deal with it that way. It doesn't happen like that every time. But sometimes when you want to fully up level on a very deep level, sometimes that shit happens. And it's recognizing that you're going to be safe and okay, but I gotta go. I hope that answers your question. So, okay, good. Okay, I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.